Good morning, folks. How are you today? It is the London Open session at 1:15 a.m. New York time on July 3rd. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I'm going to run through the markets real quick. I'm not going to go talking about Forex a whole ton just because of the week that we're having. It's going to be an interesting week. News-wise, obviously, if you guys caught my pre-recorded session, you'll know it's a bank holiday going into Wednesday for the US dollar. Several pound sterling news events coming out, services PMI. Yesterday had a whole smattering of news events for the pound sterling as well too. Not so much on the euro news, one medium impact news event here. A lot of CAD news on Friday, and of course non-farm numbers for the US dollar on Friday. FOMC meeting minutes and crude oil inventories, ISM non-manufacturing numbers on Thursday, and just basically a whole mess of stuff for the rest of the week. So could be some potential setups on the Aussie and maybe on the Canadian dollar, just depending on if we see the levels that look good. But I'm not going to talk a whole bunch about Forex just because it is non-farm week. And I think I'm going to just mainly, as I discussed in my pre-recorded video, I'm going to discuss a couple of commodities and a little bit of crypto, and we'll go from there and we'll wrap this up. I'm not going to make this a very long session just because of the week that we're having. If it wasn't non-farm week, I think I might be in here going a little bit harder into the paint, but I think we'll just kind of keep it an easy, light session for this London Open. So going into the US dollar. I had mentioned in the pre-recorded video that I was expecting price to run up, tag off of this 94.80 level, and I didn't want to see it go any higher. I'd be, well, not that I didn't want to see it go any higher, but I'd be watching the 94.95 level. So far that level is holding off. The 94.80 level is holding off. The high here actually came in at 94.86. If there is going to be any continuation, it should be doing it today, maybe into Wednesday. But again, a U.S. holiday is coming up on Wednesday, so just be mindful of that. We may see price just consolidate here straight sideways, which would leave the door open for a few other pairs to start rallying or dropping, respectively. So they could definitely do some manipulation while the U.S. dollar is on a bank holiday. So keep that in mind. Just because one major currency is off on a holiday does not mean that the central bankers won't be at work applying their trade and manipulating price as they see fit. So you know, like I said, I don't anticipate it being light volume at all. I would more so expect that it is going to be a fairly volatile session. So anyway, US dollar, like I say, keeping an eye on a couple of levels here. 93.60, 92.90 on the downside, and on the upside, 94 into 95s again. If we run through this high rate here at 94.80 and close higher than that. However, what I think we could see happen, I'm going to drop down to an hourly. You see how price has rallied up here, took out the old highs here, dropped, and came back up into these lows in here. What I'm actually looking for is a short run up into this area in here, about the 94.80, just sub 94.80. And then a failure swing and a run lower. And I think these two equal lows down here could be the target on the day. And we could even run back down into these lows down in here as well too. So I'm just going to mark that out on the chart there. And that comes in at about 93.90 would what I'd be looking for on the downside, somewhere in and around there. I'll just leave it at about there for now. That's on the downside. Again, if price does pop through here, then we'll obviously be looking for the 95.20 level to get taken out. But like I said on the weekly, this area in here, I know it's a bit of a mess with all of these price tags and charts and everything in here. I'm going to leave those there for now, but price definitely hit a big milestone up here. I was calling 95.20, and it hit that easily, and it did reject off of there. I wouldn't be surprised this weekly candle here, as you can see I'm on a weekly up here, I wouldn't be surprised if this weekly candle starts out nice and bullish and then drops down to a bearish candle to finish off the week. That's just my anticipation on the matter. If price closes above the 95 level, then we'll probably start running up into here and rallying up into the 96 level. But so far we haven't done that. It's just been wick, 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 wick. So we'll see what happens. They may want to take it down one more time before they rally again. So we'll watch for that to happen. Quarterly shifts could be taking place as well too. It's been a little while since the last one over in here, and so we could see, and price really hasn't broke out of this range here, as you can see. Price is definitely trading in a bit of a consolidated range here, so they could just keep on doing this straight sideways for the next little while as well. For the summer months, for July and August, keep that in mind. We are in the summer months, and so trading does become a little more erratic, a little less, one side driven, and a lot of big money is on summer holidays, and it is what it is. So it typically slows down a little bit. Could see some market consolidation for the next couple of months before September happens, and maybe even late August, and then we could see the bulls or bears start to step into the market. So I'm going to definitely be anticipating that and watching for that if that does happen. We may not necessarily break down or break higher in any respectable manner, so just keep that in mind, guys. I'm not going to really talk too much about the euro or the pound, other than if I'm expecting a drop in the dollar, I would be expecting a rally higher in the pound and, sorry, the euro and the pound. And obviously this high in here would be the first level that I'd be looking for price to run through on the upside. And I believe we had a failure swing down here. The swing from this low to that low there, we had a failure swing when the US dollar was making a high here. The pound dollar was making a run lower, so we could have relative strength on the euro USD. So we may have a shallow retracement. Actually, it's interesting, you see here, I did this line here on Sunday's candle, Sunday, when I put up my recorded video. Price should come down and slam into this area, and it actually has done that. Right here, it hit that. Price was trading right up in here when I put this line in. And let's put the data dividers on so you can see. Tuesday's trading, Monday's trading. This was last Friday, and obviously I did my live recording, and price had just started up into here. I'd expected to run down. It actually hit exactly on the level at 115.90. And so far it has rallied a little bit, so just depending on where we're going. And now it's about a 50 pip rally. We could be running higher on that, especially if we see some weakness in the dollar, so just keep that in mind. And the pound dollar, same type of idea, right? It actually went a little bit deeper than what I had anticipated, but we saw the same type of reaction off the pound, a little bit more muted than what the euro. The euro had a bit more of a reaction, had about a 40-50 pip reaction off of these lows here, whereas the pound dollar, so far we've only seen about a 45 pip, and I wouldn't even call this one as the low. I'd say more so the bodies of the candles right in here. We've only had about a 30 pip reaction off of there, so we could start to see higher prices. However, with that being said, this level right down here, this 130.83, call it 130.80 level for all intents and purposes. I'm just going to put that on here right now, 130.80. I would anticipate them potentially making one more run lower, and the only reason being because we do still have pound dollar news. We do still have pound sterling news. It has on Wednesday morning at 4:30 a.m. New York time. There is Services PMI high impact news coming out, so they may just elect to chop this thing sideways and then drop it down into there, but I would be expecting a reaction off these levels higher. And see these equal highs up here? I would imagine that this would probably be the first target on the upside that they could want to run right there. So I'm just going to actually drag this out to here and say that could be a potential target for Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even to the end of the week. So that could be a potential range if it does drop down to there of about 150, 160 pips. If this wasn't the failure swing right here, this could be the low. Slight retracement higher, back down into the area where they retreated from, and a push higher. That could be on the plate. They may not want to run down here, but I'm just going to let you know, if you are trading the pound dollar, that they could drop this down one more time during the Wednesday services PMI news event. Okay, so that's Euro GBP. I was expecting a little bit deeper of a retracement, but I am overall looking for a move higher. So far, Monday's candle closed a little bit higher, and Tuesday we're just kind of sitting there doing nothing right now, so I'm not going to be discussing that too much. US CAD. US CAD, I am expecting a failure up in about here, right about this level. I'm actually just going to, here, I'll make your life easier and put a price chart or price tag on that instead, and I would say 132.10. Yeah, call it 132.15. I mean, somewhere in and around there. I would expect that price is going to run up one more time into there, and then we could see a potential rollover. You see how price has come up, taken the high, turtle souped here, ran down, came back up, retested the lows off of this this big consolidation area in here, dropped down, came up one more time, retested it, and a big drop down, and then so far it's just been rallying. I'm anticipating lower prices, and I'm actually thinking we're going to come down to probably, if I can grab this level here. No, I can't, because that's not a horizontal line. I'd say somewhere in and around here, probably the old high. See this old candle high right back there? That would be a good target on the downside. 130.50. I'll just make that an even number. 130.50. I believe that could be hit on the downside. That would be a nice range. So that's 132.15-ish down to 130.50. Could be about 160 pip move. That's what I'm looking at here for the remainder of the week, if you could get a bit of a move on that. So I'm going to be looking for a sell in and around there, and I'll probably end up putting a stop right about in here, about 132.45. So it'd be about a 30 pip stop on there, maybe 35 pips, just kind of depending on where we're at. But I wouldn't expect a retracement all the way back up above these levels here. If it does get up, you can pretty much negate that, and that's going to be a move. If we do get up that high on the US CAD, it means that the US dollar is pushing much higher up into the 95 level here, so you could pretty much negate it fairly quickly. If you did see that move on the US dollar, you could come in and with confidence say, okay, this trade is going to be invalid, you know, nix this and move to the sidelines and wait for price to continue to rally. I think this move here, I think this is a false move higher. It's just doing a bit of a retracement before the ultimate move lower, and I'm going to show you this here. We've got a move from this low up to this high, and we came down just a little bit below the 50% level here, almost the 62% retracement level, but I think we're going to be coming down between the 72 and 79% retracement level. I think that would be the target, a fairly healthy target anyway on US CAD. So that's what I'm looking for. It's on the higher time frame as well too. I'm going to drop into a daily, zoom in a little bit here for you. You know, there is a potential. There is a potential that it could run up to this level here, but it's already done it one more time, so I wouldn't be expecting 132.50 to get ran, 132.60 to get ran, and only because price returned back up to that level on this candle right here. So I think at the very worst case scenario, we could see price potentially maybe returning to the low of that candle, which comes in at 132. I think it was a 132.40 was the low. Yeah. I'll just mark that on here right now, 132.40. So again, if we're in at 132.15 thereabouts, that would be a 25 pip run up to the high there. I wouldn't want to see price go any higher than this candle right here. Basically, see this on the 4 hour, this up candle right here. I don't want to see price go any higher than there. if we do get a move above these candles here. So just watch this area, 132.15, 132.20, somewhere in there. I'd be looking for a sell if we do get up to that level. We may do a quick run on these two highs in here, but I would be expecting a move to the downside somewhere in that area there. So anyway, I'm going to be watching that, and I'll let you know how that sort of pans out going forward, and to all of our members. Australian dollar, again, same type of idea. I'm expecting a move higher. We had a big retrace. There was some big Aussie news here a few hours ago that repelled price down. As you can see, it rejected, and so far has been chopping, not necessarily sideways, slowly been going higher, but putting on a lot of wicks here. So if price ever does come back down to say this level here, 73.40, I might be potentially looking for a buy at that level, and I'd be looking to target somewhere up in these levels here. If I can get this here, somewhere up into this level here. So could be a good 30-40 pip run on the Australian dollar to take things a little bit higher. From there, I don't know. Pairs have been a little bit messy. If we break this high here and break this high, then there's several areas up in here. I like this I like this 75.30 level up in here on the Australian dollar. So that could be where we're going, which is about 150 pips away from where we're currently at now. That could be on the menu, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I would expect what would happen on this guy here, and you can pretty much ignore this. As I said, this was on Sunday. I was expecting price to rip lower, and it did that. It actually came down one more time and ripped lower, but I would expect something kind of like this to happen. Price to run up, come back down, rebalance at our current level, and then potentially a run higher. And that would sort of be the failure swing that I'd be looking for right there to get in a long position. So we'll watch and wait and see on what happens there. Anyway, that's my quick analysis on Forex. So I just want to zip over to some commodities and just discuss that really, really quickly if I could. I believe crude oil, I believe we are probably going to see much, much higher prices on crude oil. However, big push up here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive up days. Not buying here yet. I want to wait for a rally back down. We did have one yesterday on Monday. Price did come back down. Just sub 72.80 level. This candle here, actually, the low, if I can get it. Come on. You can see at the bottom of my screen, the low came in at 72.60. So about 20 pips lower than what I had sort of anticipated from this high here. Came down, dipped into that, and then it has repelled. So going to be kind of interesting. That was basically just the gap rate in here. But so far, price hasn't really made a big push higher. I wouldn't mind actually seeing if price rolled over a little bit and actually came off of these highs here and potentially retested these this old consolidation level right here. So I'm going to put marker on that, and you know, I kind of like this high here, 71.35. If we could get a run back down to 71, which is a pretty big stretch, you know, I mean, that's a good $3 lower than what we're at. We could see it though. I wouldn't mind seeing that, and then maybe we could look at picking up along from there. But I definitely don't want to be buying at these levels in here. So we just got to wait for that retracement. It's patience. That's all it is, especially on crude oil. If we can get a run lower, which, you know, we may not get a run that low, right? That could have been the low right there, and price is just going to keep making new highs from here on out. So you got to be kind of prepared that could happen. So waiting for a retracement on crude oil. If you were part of our membership group, you would have got a signal on S&P down here. I think the exact trade was somewhere right in around here today. On Monday. At I think it was actually 27.03 was the exact level. Somewhere right down in here. Beautiful move to the upside. We're looking for these highs to get taken out and potentially run up into this area in here. So if you are a member of F45 Trading, you would have got that signal early on Monday. and you would be sitting in some great profits right now. So I won't talk about that anymore, but Dave will be back on Tuesday tomorrow to discuss that in a little more detail. Copper has run these lows finally. I have been talking about this for a very, very long time for copper to run those lows. So far, we wicked down once, came back down, and then we retested that low again. So I want to see what happens here. If we start getting a whole bunch of wicks in here, we could potentially be seeing a rebound on copper. I'm just going to, if you can bear with me for 30 seconds, I want to pull up another chart on copper just to cross-compare a couple of numbers and make sure that a couple of items on that chart are lining up just before I suggest we could be seeing a movement one way or another on copper. So give me 1 second here. Looking at metals, high-grade copper, there it is there. Is there any premium? So we're looking at the September contract on copper. Currently, this is the cash price being traded on copper. I'm looking at the futures price on another chart here, and I just want to find out what we're looking for. Okay, so we're $2.93. Okay, so copper is actually getting more expensive going into October, into November, into December. Actually, December's contracts are actually not as expensive as our current levels right now. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull up one more chart on copper and see what the commercials want to do with this and find out. And then I'm going to look at the seasonality chart. So commercials are starting to look at a buy program. Still bearish, but definitely kicking up a bit of a buy program. And you can actually see here, I mean, everyone, you know, all the big money has been selling into this rally. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're starting to pick up some orders and buy some orders in here. So we could be looking at switching gears here on copper. And I just want to do one last thing and just check out a seasonal chart on copper. If you can bear with me for one more second here, guys. Apologize for the delay. Going into metals and copper. There we are. Okay. So seasonally, copper, it looks like we're actually starting to hit a bear market, which is, it could be why we're seeing this run down. So the bear market kind of bottoms out in June, going into potentially early July, and then we could see a retracement higher, and actually much higher, and towards the end of the year, into the December, October, and November, December months. So we could start to see a bottoming out on copper. So that's why I say I'm not going to sit here and call the bottom or anything like that, but I am looking. This could potentially be a turtle soup. There is one more level down here that we got to be cognizant of, and that's these lows right in here. We could see price want to stretch down to. So I want to see where we're at. And then there's another level right in here where we could see price retreat down to the $22.70, you know, call it $2.75 level. Could be an area where copper may want to retreat down to. So just keep that in mind. I'm not looking at picking up a long on here yet. I got to see a couple of confluences happen. Basically, I'd like to see a, so we ran these lows here. If this is indeed the low, I'd like to see a bit of a retracement, run higher, come back down, failure swing, and then a continuation higher. And I'd be looking for these highs up here to get taken out. So that's what I'm looking at on copper. If you are a member, I will definitely be watching copper going forward here, and we'll see if this is validated or not. So don't rush, don't jump into anything yet. I'm still looking at this. And just keep in mind, guys, I am not a licensed commodity broker or anything like that. All of the ideas that I'm discussing here today and going forward, it's all just theory. It's all hypothetical. It's all my opinions only. It does not constitute advice for a trade in any way, shape, or form. These are just my ideas only, and whatever you do with this information is completely up to you. And I do not want to know if you are profitable or unprofitable in anything that you do. I'm doing all of this. If I ever show you a trade or put out a signal, it is all on a demo account, and it is always on a demo account. I will never trade live funds, just so you know. And again, this is all just to cover my ass because I am not a licensed commodity broker. So please, or trade advisor. So please, guys, do this at your own risk. Commodities is a serious thing, and you can lose serious money in this. So just please make sure you're aware. Do your due diligence in anything that you do and any trades that you take, and take everything that I talk about with a grain of salt. So anyway, that's copper. Moving along, crude oil I discussed, copper. Natural gas is just one I want to discuss real quick here. I'm not going to be talking about a whole ton of commodities because they're not all jumping off the chart at me right now. There's only a couple that I've identified here that I think are worthy of mentioning, and nat gas has been one I've been talking for a little while here. You can see how price consolidated in here, ran the highs, came back down, retested, and then exploded off of that. I was actually expecting a move higher. This move running shallow, nothing that I was anticipating. I was actually expecting a move to continue higher. So give me another 1 second here. I just want to double check the energies, and if I can find the bloody energies. Where the hell are we? Sorry, guys. Currencies, energies. There we go. Nat gas. Just going to bring up a quick chart on. I'm just on barchart.com. Nothing spectacular here. Looking at the contract months, so we are currently trading in. That's not right. March of 2019 contract is all the volume that's currently involved in the net gas contracts. February, actually, I'm sorry. That's interesting. I'm not seeing any volume at all on September, October, November, December, January. That's interesting. Hold off on nat gas until this updates a little bit better here. I'm not sure why this is giving me a conflicting signal, but we are currently trading at a higher price. If we look into August contract, which is 1,800 volume versus the February 2019 contract at 4,300 volume, there is a premium in there. And I'm looking at this right now, and I'm just going to pull up a full-size chart here. I just want to see what some of the larger institutions are looking on. Why didn't that come up? There we go. Okay, so some of the larger institutions, so we're looking out, they are bearish. Currently, they're shorting this market for good reason. I like these levels in here. I think we could potentially see a return down to some of these levels down in here, mainly this guy here. So if you see a drop down to the $2.75 mark on nat gas, I might be interested in picking up some longs here. And we're going to have to wait and see. But that would basically just be a return back down to the consolidation level. And about, I'm not even going to go up to that high there. I would say that would be more the high there. And again, that could line up with the 79% retracement level. That is a very, very high confluence level as well, too. So I'll be watching for that. I might put out an alert on my chart. If price does start to trade down there, we could see some rejection and some support being drawn up at this $2.75 level on nat gas. But we should start to see this thing run. We've exploded off of here nicely. Big consolidation area, though. And I was a little surprised that it didn't continue up higher, but they may be holding it back until later into summer months here when summer really gets into full swing, so we could see a push higher and drive higher from there. So I'll be watching that gas on the long term. Real quick, before I get into any more commodities, I just want to discuss Bitcoin quickly here. Pushed down, took out these lows here convincingly. And then this low here just on Friday's candle, and then we've gapped up since then, and we could want to close in this gap here. You can see here price has made a big gap there. We may want to run up, close that, but I'm not expecting this to be the low. I think this is just the prelude to what's going to come. I think this is just going to be a forecast. I think we're probably going to end up doing something like this. Price will probably run up into here, and then we'll see it start to drop and fall out a bit from there. So one more leg lower, I'm assuming, on Bitcoin, and we'll start to see how that wants to pan out going forward. You can kind of see here. That would sort of line up as well too. I'm not a retail trend trader at all, but that would start to line up as well too with a type of a retail trend line as well. So, and I'm not going to go through Ethereum and Litecoin and Ripple and all of that because it's all the same. I'm not expecting anything different on these guys as well too. Although Litecoin really took a big dip down. And you can see just smashed through those lows there that I was calling. Okay, just real quick. I'm not going to talk about. I'll talk about. Where are we here? Cotton quickly. So far, we're retracing off of cotton. There's an area down in here that I like. See, just right under that low. We could see a further decline in cotton, and then I would be looking for price to stabilize somewhere down in this area here and potentially run higher. We're going to wait on cotton, though. No rush on this guy here. Also creating a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. You can see here, shoulder, head. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Shoulder, head, and potentially creating the right shoulder. We could see a further decline in here, but I'd just be expecting them to come back down, run the stops under this low here, recapitalize off of these this area consolidation, and then potentially run higher from there. So I'm going to hold off on cotton for a little bit, to be continued on this guy, and then I'm going to talk about cocoa quickly. Cocoa, we could be seeing a bounce. Now this is kind of what I'm talking about here. So you see the old highs in here. I'd labeled this area. When price was coming up screaming in here, it made these equal lows and it made that final push higher. I said I wanted to wait and see what happens when price hits these equal lows down here. Price smashed through these lows, and I kind of figured that this, I actually was expecting a bit of a lower drive down at this 2216 level. Didn't quite get it. It actually failed at 2240 thereabouts. See if I can get that on the chart. Probably won't let me, but yeah, right about there. Failed about 2240, and then took off from there. And now this is kind of what I've been what I talk about is this breakdown. It hits the low, price retraces, comes back down, failure swing off of the old low here, fails to go any lower, and then potentially running higher from there. So we could be in this move higher on cocoa. So I'll let you know here on cocoa. There may not be anything. We could have missed this one here, and it is what it is. I mean, there's lots of trades out there in commodities right now, so it's not like if we miss one, it's, oh my God, never going to see another trade again. But going forward, just looking out at cocoa, trading the September contract, they definitely changed the numbers on the contracts since I was looking at it a couple of weeks ago. So I just want to bring up a seasonality of cocoa and see where we're at on the softs. Cocoa. I'll bring this over here so you guys can see it. You can kind of see in here, see this bullish activity early July, right? Starting to coincide, and it actually peaks out and hits its highs into mid-July into early August. So that's why I was kind of bringing up cocoa here. We could see another push higher. If price wants to run down off of this high here and come back down and retest the 2380 level, I might be interested in looking at a buy. So I'll put that on the list as well too. We could see potential bullish activity on cocoa moving forward as well. So just a real quick update on that one. Unfortunately, that move happened last week, and I wasn't around the charts and looking at cocoa last week, so I apologize, guys. I should have been on top of that one. I was not. I was tied up last week, so I didn't get a chance to check out this one when it was smashing into the low right here. But that would have been a beautiful trade. If any of you guys got into this when price was coming down into there, kudos. Because I had it on my chart, but I didn't. I unfortunately didn't. I didn't see it when I was doing it. Great failure swing there, though, and we could see a potential rip higher on that one. So. Cotton, cocoa, net gas, crude oil. There's really only two other markets that I was watching here, and I'll just bring them up real briefly. and see what's happening on those guys. I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the cash price on this broker here that I'm using. So I'll have to bring it off on bar chart. So just give me 1 second. It's in the meats. We're looking at hogs. Okay, I'm just going to bring this guy over here. Looking out to the front months into August contracts, most volume. Price is definitely trading at a premium. Could be seeing this thing ripping right now. Seasonally as well too. I'll bring that up so you guys can see what's happening seasonally. What is this? Hogs. You can see price seasonally on this. It does start to make its peak and its highs into June, July. We could be too late on this one here, guys, so we may not see a whole bunch on this guy. Where are we on a year? I'm going to move down to a 3-month chart. Yeah, nothing too spectacular that I'm seeing here. Just depending on what happens on this guy here at 73.25. If this is a failure swing on this candle here, if it fails to get lower than here, then we could potentially see a run higher. But it's kind of getting late in that seasonality, so but the commercials are really buying this guy up right now. I'm just going to pull up to a year, and we're going to see where we're at. You can see prices kind of been on a long-term consolidation from about April. It hit its low, and then it's just kind of been doing nothing really. We'll watch on this one here. Price came in a little bit lower than what I would have expected it to, so I'm gonna put a pin in on this one here, and the last one would be cattle. A couple of meats right now. Sorry guys if I'm kind of rushing through this. I just sort of want to make this a bit of a quick discussion. I don't want to take a ton of time in here. Okay, looks like it's already popping, and you can see here on the seasonal, this one's a little bit better, as you can see, into July here. Would have been better actually to get in around the end of April, early May, and catching this big bull run up higher there. The 5-year confirming that as well too. Now we're into early July. There definitely could be some room left. It definitely peaks out and hits some of its highs going into July and August. September it could fall off a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. And you can see now prices really starting to come out of this this compressed range in here. We could be making a run for this high at 156. So if we get a retracement on this, to be honest with you, last week probably would have been a good week when the price was slamming back down into 145.55. From there we saw a nice move higher. So we'll see. There could be some potential for lower prices to come in. But the commercials are really buying this guy up here. So you can see they're definitely in a buy program. So we may be looking at higher prices, potentially even up to 157.80, somewhere maybe even tackling these highs here if this high gets taken out. So definitely room on the upside for this to move. Don't want to be buying it up here. Would like to see a retracement back down. If we could get price to move back down to 147.80, to 140, yeah, about 147.75 to 148.80. Sorry, 147.75. If price wanted to retrace back down here off this big bull candle, regroup and potentially hit a level of support in there, that could be an area to go long. So we'll watch for that on feeder cattle as well. And that's about it for my commodities that I wanted to review. Definitely some activity happening, and sugar got smashed. This is actually surprising. I was expecting sugar to go run quite a bit higher, so I want to see if these lows down in here. This was Monday's trading. Got just smashed. I was a little bit surprised by that one. And orange juice currently ripping right now as well too. So Anyway, that's about it. A couple of potential signals on some Forex pairs that I was looking at. If we see a failure to run higher on Canadian dollar, price may not run up to this 32.15 level. Same thing with Aussie. Price could just start to climb up higher from there. As you can see, price really starting to escalate now. So if we get a return back down to this level down in here, then I may look at picking up a long. Euro, cable, same type of idea. All on the premise that the US dollar could start falling out of bed here. So we'll watch for that going forward. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. This was a bit longer of a session than I wanted to make it, and discuss some commodities as I had mentioned before. So if you have any questions, shoot them in the chat here. I'll be on for another 30 seconds I'll give you. And other than that, I'm going to take off. And members will be getting some signals. Like I say, again, we already had a signal for the S&P 500 ES that came out early on Monday, all into profit. And we could have a couple more signals going into Tuesday here if price decides to make itself advantageous for us. And all of our members will certainly get that. And if not, well, and I guess you'll have to catch our live sessions. And just so you know, guys, regarding our live sessions, they are all free right now. As soon as I am able to get my web guy to start updating our website, we will be changing things around. So I will be offering several new options for people to jump on and check out our the stuff. But it's no longer going to be free. We will be charging for it. So we've got a chat room, we've got live signals, we've got obviously these live trading sessions, we've got one-on-one coaching available, just a ton of a plethora of information there when trading, from anywhere from brand new traders to expert traders. We've got something for everybody. So if you are looking for something a little more in depth, we will be offering it, and we will be offering it on our website coming soon at f45trading.com. So as you can see here, currently it is free for 14 days to sign up. You can come check us out, 14 days for free, and decide if you want to continue with us or not. But after, I'm just waiting for my web guy to get back to me. I'm hoping in the next week or so we'll have this all built out. And what I'll be doing is, like I say, we'll have a chat room that you can join in for a very, very small monthly fee. Signals, obviously, live sessions, one-on-one coaching, and on and on and on and on. So we'll have all of your options listed right here that you can take advantage of it with the corresponding prices associated with that. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. I don't see any questions in the chat room, so I'd like to thank you very much for joining us for today. Dave will be in tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, to trade the New York Open session with you guys. He'll be trading S&P, gold, and a couple other markets, and he will jump on some trades if he sees anything. So until then, we will talk to you. I hope you have a great Tuesday. And be careful this week, guys, because, again, it is non-farm. All the bulk of your trading should be done by, hopefully, Tuesday. I wouldn't carry any trades over into Wednesday because it is a U.S. holiday and anything could happen. So just bear that in mind, guys. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll be back on Thursday. I'll probably end up doing, depending on how the market goes, either a London or a New York. I'll let you know with lots of time in advance. So thanks, guys. Have a great day. Take care.